The Rick Jenson Show. On 101.7 FM, 1150 AM, WDEL. And streaming to your smart speaker and mobile device.
So, a couple of weeks ago, I got a random phone call from one of you, fabulous Jenson listeners. Thank you very, very much. Appreciate you so much. Saying, I don't understand this distribution charge on my Delmarva power bill. Why is it twice what it was before? I mean, sure, I'm using more natural gas. I understand the commodity price going up. But what about distribution? I don't understand that. Because it's not like they had to put in more pipes to get the natural gas to my house. And then another called, another. I called the Delaware Public Advocate, and she said, gosh, I haven't heard anything about that. I talked to her 4 days later. She goes, oh, my God, I got 600 people, 400 emails, 200 phone calls. We have one person in the office who's going to be able to transcribe this and get it into our computer system. And then what we do is we send the information over to Delmarva Power. They work with the customer. And then if the customer's unhappy, they come back to us, and we fight, and we try to help them out. And I thought, damn, one person? Yes. And she even said on the program, they have to type everything from the complaint, everything. Oh, my gosh. And it's only one person. So I'm reading text messages, 302-529-1017, And there's one that says, here's the problem. And lays out the problem exactly like I had asked. I like to say, explain like I'm 5. ELI 5 is something on Reddit, and I like Reddit. That's all. And this one guy, not somebody from Delmarva Power, because I talked to 3 people in a conference call then, and I never really felt like I got the answer. Maybe I just didn't understand, but I asked him a number of different times, number of different ways, and the answer that I recall was, well, it's all an individual basis, and we work with individuals. Great. But this one guy texted in, and I got him on the phone, and he explained it. His name is Brent Burdge, and it turns out he's a really smart guy, and he's running for state senate in District 5 because Kyle Evans-Gay is now our lieutenant governor. So, Brent, thanks for being here.
Thank you very much for having me.
Tell us again this explanation you had regarding distribution.
Well, when I looked at the situation, I was hearing about these sudden jump in distribution charges and $100 a month, and why didn't they warn us, and what's going on? And so the first thing I did was look to my bill, and I go, this month, last month, it was $100 difference. I hadn't even noticed. And I dug in a little bit deeper, and I'm an engineer by training. And so I looked at the data and looked back a year, looked back 3 months, and what I saw was the rates haven't changed. This is all proportional to usage. Mm-hmm. They have 2 different charges. They have distribution and they have delivery. So the delivery is the cost of the gas. The distribution is the cost of running the system. And oddly,
and with natural gas, delivery would be the commodity itself.
Right.
Yes.
Right. And it didn't make sense to me that there was no tier of pricing. And so I looked at my own bills, and like I said, a couple of months prior, I'd used 14 CCF, which is their measure for how much gas. 100
cubic feet
right.
in natural gas, yeah.
And last month I used 218. Well, my cost went way up. I don't notice it. I'm on budget billing, so it's pretty level.
Oh, we'll talk
about... So I had to dig a little bit deeper to get into that. But I looked at the rates, and I go, okay, I bet the rates changed. All these people are complaining about this. And I looked, and the distribution charge was 60 cents per CCF. The cost of the gas was 40 cents per CCF. So the cost of distribution is 50% higher than the cost of the gas itself.
About. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, 60 versus 40.
60 versus 40. That's
50% higher.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, okay. I got you. 50%. Yeah.
I told you I'm analytical.
You are analytical. Engineer. I mean, and plus, folks, here's a guy who can do math on the fly. Yeah. I'm sitting there. I'm actually visualizing, okay, carry the 4. Yes.
But I looked at the prior year, and I go,
yeah.
Hey, the distribution cost was exactly the same, out to like 19 digits or however many they show it on that silly bill. The gas cost was actually higher. It was 43 cents a year ago, went down to 40 cents. So if you look at it in a practical sense, like a real person, it went down from $1.03 to $1 per CCF is what the customer is paying. And it really drew the question of, why are they billing like this? People are complaining because they got shocked by the increase, but it's December, it got cold, and they used more gas. But is this application of the rates really fair to the customer? I don't frankly know. I'd like to have somebody discuss it with me and dig in deeper to the reasoning behind that, but it seems like there ought to be a base charge for distribution, and then there ought to be some tiered rate as you use more and more. It's not costing them more to have more pipes or anything like that.
Well, I wonder if they have to do it this way because they're losing money on, like, for example, the green energy requirements that people vote for folks who go down to Dover and they say, oh, well, we're going to demand a certain percentage of our energy be from wind and solar and whatever it is. I mean, we're at about 1% now, and whatever it is that they're hoping for, they're obviously not going to get that within probably our lifetime. So,
I mean, clearly it feels like they're disguising the cost.
Yeah, so maybe they have to make up
when
for
they
that.
compare.
And maybe, Brent, maybe they have to make up for the people who have solar panels, and so they're using less energy. People thought, oh, I'm going to make a profit. There's no way Delmarva Power can stay in business if like 5, 6, or even 10% of customers say, yeah, Delmarva Power is paying me to sell them energy from my panels. No, they make money off you, the residents. So it's just not possible for everybody to be making money off Delmarva Power because we all have solar panels. That means Delmarva Power has no more employees and they got no work to do. It doesn't make sense. So maybe they have to have this as an offset for those losses from people who have solar panels.
Yeah. And I'm sure they're comparing to other sources, and when they compare us to Maryland and New Jersey and all that, they're comparing the 40 cents per CCF. They aren't comparing the $1.04. They're the distribution charges in the background, and they try to ignore that.
Well, the president of Delmarva Power is going to be on the program, and this is among the questions I'm going to ask. So, anyway, now we know it's not a rate problem; it's a pricing problem.
Exactly. It's how they've structured the pricing, and the fundamental question is that a fair way to structure the pricing? And the rest of it is all fog.
I have a lot of listeners who say no. They're very angry. They understand paying more when they use more. I have more natural gas coming in. I got to pay twice as much because I have twice as much natural gas coming in because it's been very cold this past month. Okay. But they're very angry, saying, well, wait a second. Why are you charging me twice as much now? Why instead of $48, it's like $100 or $108 for the existing pipes? You didn't have to put any more pipes in. You just had to pipe in more natural gas. Why do I have to pay that much more for the existing pipes? And my guess is, well, they know they're going to have to replace these pipes at some point. They're just not telling us that. I believe there is a project in Wilmington right now where they're replacing some natural gas pipes. So why not just say, oh, we have to charge that much because we have to replace a bunch of pipes? But that's not the answer that I've heard so far. Anyway, I want to thank you, Brent, because you came right out, you looked at it, you researched it, you said, here's the problem. And if you're elected to state senate in District 5, replacing Kyle Evans-Gay, is this something that you would want to be looking into?
Yeah, I really think that this is about local politics. And it's not party politics. It's not the big national issues that are out there. I'm about what's good for Delaware and how can I serve the community around me. I mean, I've lived here for almost 35 years, and I've seen the direction that Delaware has gone, and I'm frankly not happy with it. And I think we need to bring some new voices to Dover to begin to confront some of the approaches that are being taken.
What are some of the changes that you think need to be made?
I think probably the biggest and most visible concern right now that's on people's minds is education.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, and finally the other party is starting to talk about it a little bit, but we raised the issue and we made the noise. And there's things that are fundamentally broken about how we're handling education in Delaware. And I come from a business background. I'm a DuPont engineer for most of my career, then to one of the spinoffs. I'm an analytical sort of guy, as our discussion has yielded.
And by the way, he does math on the fly. I'm obviously impressed. I've screwed up so many times. Wait, that's not right when I try to do math on the fly. So, but education. So our new governor, Matt Meyer, likes the AIR report that suggests, well, what we need to do is put another $500 million to $1 billion into education. Well, we're already number 7 from the top in spending, 4th from the bottom in learning. So he's going to ask for more money, more taxes.
Exactly, and I think that's the common answer that we're getting from the establishment that's down there in Dover is give us more money and we'll fix it. Well, we're already getting more money than 43 states in the country on a per student basis. So it's just the money's not going the right place. It's not getting to the classroom. It's not helping our kids.
You're right. More needs to go into the classroom. More needs to go to the teachers. I think we can agree on that.
Absolutely. I mean, I have a daughter and a son-in-law that are both teachers in the Brandywine school system.
Oh, well, there you go.
So, I see that. And they're spectacular teachers, but I also see the chaos that surrounds them. Some of that's purely my opinion of how I'm viewing it.
Right.
And where we've got too many school districts, we've got too much overhead. From a business background, whenever we had to deal with cost control, the first place we looked was what's the management and overhead in this operation that's dragging us down. And I would do benchmarking with manufacturing plants, and we would look at that, and that's the first thing we would look to cut because we knew that was unnecessary. It wasn't getting to the result that we were really after.
I remember Democrat Governor Jack Markell having a conversation with him about this as well. And he said, yes, we probably need fewer school districts, not fewer administrators. We can do that by attrition. He thought he wouldn't anger the education union by saying that. And then, as I recall, his lieutenant governor had a meeting with the Department of Education here, as well as DSEA, the big education union. And he said, listen, folks, I need you to help me to work on this proposal here. We want to reduce the number of school districts, and we want to reduce the number of administrators, get more money into the classroom for the teachers. And what I was told by someone who was there is that they actually physically laughed at him. Now, this is the Democrat, lieutenant governor, who's representing the governor, saying we need to get education under control here. And that was it, and that was pretty much the end of it. I believed that Governor Markell could actually have done something, but he'd have to spend a lot of political capital. Well, maybe he wouldn't be an ambassador to a beautiful, fun foreign country right now if he had actually made that fight. Well, maybe, and spent all that political capital and had the big education union hate him and all. But someone needs to get in there and do something. And maybe you're right. Maybe it is Republicans who have to do this.
Yeah, I mean, the establishment is formidable.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that if I go down to Dover, I'm going to be one of the minority voices, but I think I can stand my ground. I think I can help begin to sway the momentum. The SEA is formidable, but I think we're talking about something that helps their teachers, that helps their union members, because look at some of the key complaints and the things that interfere with success in the classroom. One of the biggest ones is discipline. We have teachers that are being pulled so many different ways by a chaotic classroom and not having the right resources at the classroom.
Mm-hmm.
And all these administrators behind the scenes and at the school district offices, that's not helping them. But it's sucking away the money because we're spending 7th highest in the nation. And so we've got to find a way to reorient that and ask the hard questions and drive change and be disruptors. We aren't going to do it because we have a majority and we can force it. We're going to have to make our case to the people and get the support.
Tell me more about the case you'd like to make to the people. It's Brent Burdge, Republican, running for state senate in the 5th district. What else?
I think the keys are freeing the teachers in the classroom.
Besides education.
Oh, besides education.
Yeah.
The next place I go is to the spending at the state government level.
Mm-hmm.
It's completely out of control. If you go back before the pandemic, state spending was under $4 billion or right at $4 billion. 5 years later, it's over $6 billion.
Well, if
not everybody's getting 10% a year increases.
Increases, yeah. Well, but if that's your goal and if that's your mindset, then you should be able to work very, very well, Brent, with our Democratic governor, Matt Meyer. Matt Meyer was in the studio. We talked about that, and he talked about consolidating departments and also eliminating some jobs and such by attrition and reducing the cost of government spending as well. So government doesn't need to do everything. And for those services that need to be brought to people, quite honestly, I believe, and I know because I've been involved with some nonprofits, that there are people in the private sector who can do a better job than having a government bureaucracy trying to handle all that. So sounds to me like, when it comes to government spending, you would be in sync with the governor.
Yeah. At least the way we talk about it.
Yeah.
I'm waiting to see the results. I certainly haven't seen that before. I've heard that
she's
story
new.
before.
It's been a short period of time here. All right. And what else? I mean, those are two big ones.
I mean, that's really the biggest thing that's out there. And in a more kind of bureaucratic sense, just the fact that we are at such a deep minority, we need to have enough voices in the state legislature to begin to force compromise, to force discussions. If you look at the last couple of years, there were dozens, literally, of bills offered by the Republicans to reduce taxes, release relieve seniors, to deal with things like the real estate transfer tax and all of these kinds of things to provide relief. They don't even make it out of committee because we're in such a deep minority that we don't have the votes. It always becomes partisan.
Well,
it doesn't go anywhere.
The problem is, it's not the problem. It's not the Democratic Party that's the problem. The problem is that while the Democratic Party runs Delaware, there are too many Democrats within the party who believe that the government deserves the money more than their own constituents. And I think that's a real problem. Brent, you're in the 5th District. What are the registrations? Because normally, in Newcastle County, you get a lot of Democrats in one district, and Democratic candidates just take that for granted. Don't even run much of a race, and they get elected because people go in there and push D. So, what?
Yeah, I mean it certainly leans toward the Ds. We're in a district that we have maybe less than 10,000 registered Republicans. We have 20,000 registered Democrats, but a lot of it has to do with motivation.
Right.
And special elections are a unique opportunity.
They are.
Because I think Republicans and right-leaning independents are motivated. They see how bad things are. They want some change.
You want to be able to feed your family.
And this is an opportunity to do that. So getting out to vote is absolutely critical, and I think we've got a real strong fighting chance. I think it's important to note that this particular district was Republican for 40 years until Kyle Evans Gay. Some people remember Myrna Bear for 20 years.
Sure.
Most people remember Kathy Cloutier for 20 years. Mm-hmm. And then Kyle Evans Gay came in 2000, and she's got higher aspirations. Now she's our lieutenant governor. We need to bring this one back to the red side.
Constituent services, you promise to answer the phone?
Sure. Absolutely.
Good. That's a big deal. It really is very important because I get a lot of complaints from people saying they try to reach their state senator, state rep, and those folks are too busy, I guess, doing something else and don't always answer the phone. I
think somebody that I kind of model after that I was very impressed with was Anthony Del Colo.
Oh my gosh!
When he was in the Senate,
one of the best.
I mean, you could get onto social media and make a comment, and he was there responding, and he would go back and forth with you in a very appropriate way, but he was engaged.
His district ended 2 doors down from my house, and I was really disappointed. I wanted to be my rep. He was fantastic. He knew the problems of all the neighborhoods. He knew all the neighborhoods in the district, and he knew all the problems of all the neighborhoods as well. I just found that to be remarkable. And Brent Burdge, if you can be that kind of a guy, then I think Delaware will be a better place for it. So that's the bottom line. District 5, if 60% of, I'm going to do math now, if 60% of Republicans get out and 30% of Democrats get out, it's a tie. So you got to get all the Republicans out there. When's the election?
The election is February 15th. And it's a difficult weekend. I mean, we're talking the day after Valentine's Day, and it's President's Day weekend. So a lot of people are going to be gone.
It's a Saturday.
So special elections happen at all kinds of odd times. So we're talking a Saturday after Valentine's Day. Early voting starts on February 4th, primarily at the Claymont Community Center. So that's a real good option for many people.
Well, you got to get out there and knock on doors. Website.
Burdge for change. The number 4 Burdge for change.
Burdge.
The number 4 change.com. We can use their support. There's an opportunity to volunteer. We're making phone calls from all over the state. I mean, these 2 races, this one and District 1, are the only game in town at this moment. And so we're drawing on all the resources in the state to make it happen.
You haven't even been elected, and you've already brought some understanding to people who are very confused about something. So well done. Brent Burdge, Burdge for
change.
Hang on. More with Rick Jenson is just ahead on 101.7 FM, 1150 AM, WDEL, and streaming to your smart speaker and mobile device.